The life of a criminal is always thought to be a choice, a decision made by someone who wishes to take the easy road in life. Well, I should tell you there's nothing easy about it. The city of Soulbade is filled with the lost, the downtrodden, the forgotten. Yet songs are sung about the mighty guilds that rule the shadows there. The Silent Boot, the Blade Guilds, the Hut of Outcasts, and the Arcane Malefactorum are four houses known to reign over the underworld. Many will lie, steal, and kill just to get into one of the four guilds. And once you're in, many would kill to take your place. To rise from the ruin and the struggle. To be a guild member with a name and a reputation filled with fear and respect. However, everything comes with a price often paid in blood.
Good evening, and again, it is time for Demon Gauge on Blades and Blasters. This is episode 13 of Blood Money. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, we have a little bit more of a story dump to go over since a lot of things happen off screen for the game, and it's West Marches style, so it started out with a lot of jumping in and jumping out, and now the story has gotten pretty thick and took on a life of its own. So if you do miss some things in the story, we try to catch you up on some of the important things that happen in out-of-game RP. As well, you're free to enjoy the text-based RP play-by-post link, which Tet will give you. And you can witness some of the primary characters that are able to join in on the PvP. And fair warning, some of it's pretty raunchy. And we've been calling it our late night DG smut to satisfy our late night dark fantasy that everybody has to enjoy sometime. So tonight we have Emma is playing Velt, Slip is playing Gwyn, Wanderer is playing Arizat, and Matt is playing Halaha. So now I'm going to try to catch you guys up on some things real quick. Everybody got sight here?
Yep.
Yep.
It is the 6th of Farstar. The winter wind blows through the somewhat vacant streets of the city Soulbade. There's a heavy chill in the air this time of the year. Even this far south, the 3 months of night have a way of lending to that harsh reality. The shops are open even in this darkness. Lanterns are lit down the streets of the midday hours known as Merides. Those who stand upon their balconies looking out over the city notice the difference. Windows are boarded up everywhere. The plague has killed thousands now, and in the harbor, naval forces are at war. Luckily, good news has come from the west. Reinforcements are on the march from the citadel. But to the south, in Deepwater Keep, there is no such luck. They are in their own heap of trouble, under attack by the Black Armies at this very moment, or so the scouts have claimed. Soulbade could be destroyed if the Red Legion does not fight off the two armies. Many refugees are still attempting to flee west into the country of Deowind, where humans and half-elves rule the land. The alchemist, Ivo, has been dead well over a week now. His remains... Oh, that's not true. He was dead for about 2 days, I think. Right? Three
Yep.
days?
2, 3 days, yeah.
His remains still waiting for the decision in the chamber of the Black Altar, where Halaha and the Archangel Darius had spoken about it. The body was starting to get bloated and blackened, while the ghoul acolytes of Darius cleaned it up, kept the fluids drained. They pondered over the mark of the demon upon his flesh, wondering if it was indeed too dangerous to raise him as a bone mage or a ghoul, just as the other alchemists had served the malefactor even in death as a ghoul. But the mark, knowing it was still a living demon that watched through Ivo, Darius thought that the task could be too dangerous. He did not share his full worry on the matter with Halaha, just a brief mention of it. He gave the body to her to make a bone mage if she desired. Just before she seduced the older necromancer with her honey-dipped words. He had not been with a woman since his wife, a tragic tale in itself, one he shared with the dark elf necromancer before they had sexual intercourse on the Black Altar. Grass watched the encounter, of course, as he always did, enjoyed letting her use her talents and watching her engage in the act. Their relationship is strange, to say the least. He allowed her to indulge in her late night activities, and she allowed him to watch and even sometimes join. She really did seem to love him, though, and always come back to him. The ruse that her and Rattles had developed had seemed to backfire. Alaha did not know she would actually fall for the Vitagi. Grass and Alaha were both quite mad, very unstable in their own ways, but they were also somehow in love. Gwyn had stopped by Grass's bedchamber and tested his love between Grass and Halaha, thinking perhaps a ruse would cause some tremor in this destructive relationship, perhaps an attempt to save Halaha. She seduced Grass with sweet words, added crystals and magic. He melted in her hands, as it was quite successful, and if she would allowed, he would have taken her there, but it was a tease. She used that moment to implant the idea into Grass's head that he had the raw end of the deal, that he too should get to play and indulge in the pleasures that Halaha did. Grass had always seen himself as a monster, though. He knew he could never get anything like Halaha again, so when Halaha returned to the room and found out that Gwyn had been there, it was not a pretty sight. She flew into a jealous rage and shouted words about tearing him apart, about tearing Gwyn apart, that she should be enough for him. She cried and screamed, but was able to keep herself from going completely ballistic. Grass as well calmed her and told her that he was sorry, that she was the only one for him, that it would not happen again, and they loved, cried, and made up. In the meantime, Gwyn and Erizet had started the reconstruction of the Cartographers Guild. The battle had caused some destruction, but they were able to retrieve some great intel from the base. Thus far, it was the only known location of the Obsidian skies inside the city. So, of course, taking down the forces inside had become priority. Inside, they looted the area and found a massive flesh golem, an abomination created by an archmage of the Order. Someone they had not seen nor heard of yet. Why was it here? Why was it stored in the basement laboratory? The Archangels took a vote, and in the end, it was brought to the Malefactorum for research. The decision to destroy it was a close one, but in the end, know thy enemy won out. But Laius had expressed worry that it might be some kind of Trojan horse. Hopefully not. Erizat and Rattles had set up some dealings with the Miners Guild and meant to meet up with them soon about an alliance between them, the smugglers and the Malefactorum. Velt had spent quite a bit of time doing research and trying to find out information about this mask that Ivo had brought back with him. The reason he was killed in the first place. After their battle, she was somewhat caught up in why it had happened at all. Quite understandable. Ivo had acted extremely unstable when questioned about it. Why had he wanted the mass to remain a secret? What dangers did it hold? What had happened to him in the Shadow Plane when he went there? What dangers did the mark still hold if he was dead? The demon hunter toiled over these and tried to assist Halaha in the decision to bring him back as a minion. She also knew that the time for her trial was soon at hand. She had killed not one, but 2 members of the guild, Nezet, the shapeshifter assassin, and now Ivo. Her trial was at hand, and she could face one of the prime convictions, what could mean banishment, a very difficult test that could kill her, or death. So that somewhat catches things up, even though that's a lot. And for the first scene, I think we are going to actually go to Otep's bedchamber, where Gwen speaks with him in private. They've spent some time together studying, and let's see. Yeah, there's the bedchambers. Does everybody have sight here? Not everybody.
No. Where?
Let me see. Try to fix
I see
this
the
here.
trial room. Ah, yes, I see this.
There you go.
I think Gwen is, do you want me to start, or is there something that Otep has to say?
Yeah, let me, this real quick here. And, all this time to prepare, and still it wasn't enough, though. The scene begins with Gwyn silently studying with Otep at his bedside. And it seems this has become a fantastic idea that has given him some peace and happiness, making him feel less useless at times. And instead of, Yolor pushing him into the garden, he can study and help tutor Gwyn in the arts of magic. He also talks a lot about faith, too, and I know I had given away some spiritual influence before, but Gwyn, you can get an extra d6 plus 1 spiritual influence added for your time with Otep.
Yeah, she's not a very good student. She's pretty skeptical, I guess. But it's starting to sink in.
And, yeah, go ahead. You can,
Yeah, Gwyn is sitting with him, and she's got her books of magic that she's been studying with him closed. She's a bit frustrated. She feels she's on the verge of mastering this one, but her brain is so full of all the information from the Cartographers Guild. There's a whole table full of documents and scrolls, all a jumble. She keeps picking one and then the other from it, and she rubs her eyes. You can tell that it's starting to take a toll on her spirit, if not, physically. And she looks over at him, and he's so physically diminished from what he was before. It's going to be a long road for him to recover. She still looks at that clean line of his jaw sometimes when he's sleeping and gets that little flutter in her stomach, but now when he's awake and teaching her in kind of a whisper sometimes because he is still lacking strength, and seeing Amaranth tend to his body and seeing that it's wasted, it's just looking at him and looking at these scrolls. She is dispirited at the moment. She says, I know you speak of faith, but there's so much I haven't told anyone. But if these papers are correct, we're outnumbered 3-1. And we have yet to make a firm alliance with anyone in this city. We all need to join forces if we're to survive this. The guilds, the people, the army, but even within our own home here, our trust is fractured. How can I have faith?
He stops looking at the book, and he drops it on his lap, and kind of defeated look. But when he looks back at you, he smiles and he says, "You sound like me." I used to think that all of that mattered. I will miss our talks. I will miss walking with you in the garden. Yeah. And you can tell just by looking at him, you feel like he's also kind of giving up.
I think listening to him talk this way, it kind of shocks her. I mean, he might feel this way on the inside sometimes, but I don't think he usually expresses it. You know, he's usually the voice of hope. She swallows hard, you know, listening to him, and takes his hand. Don't listen to me. I'm just tired. I haven't given up yet, and neither should you. It's too early for goodbyes.
And he smiles and he says, "You learn so quickly, Gwen. I wish we had more time."
I didn't work so hard to bring you back here, to only lose you again. She kind of firms her jaw.
I was a fool thinking we could all join forces together and stop this. I should have spent more time with you. I think love is what matters in the end. In this short time we exist here, happiness, I think I have been wrong all this time. I should have spent it looking at you.
She listens, blinking hard, swallowing hard, trying to keep herself from crying at his words. Love is what matters, but it's also what gives us strength. It's something our enemies lack. They care not for each other, only to serve some twisted god out of power or fear. If we pull through this, it will be because of love, not only between us, but I know that as doubting as many feel right now, I care for each of them. If I can help them to see it, to see that bond that exists, then they will fight all the harder. They won't give up until their last breath, because they'll know that it matters. that living martyrs. Living so that they can survive to protect the person beside them. She kind of stands up, squeezing his hand, and turns around and wipes her face and the tears from her cheeks. She just hates other people to see her, getting worked up. But she, after a moment, turns around again and says, "Don't give up. I need you not to give up."
He says, "I will try. You are their strength now."
She nods, but says, "But you are mine."
He smiles. And I think that's good for that scene.
Yep.
All right, now that was a depressing scene. Let's go to
Fun at the Black Altar.
Yep, fucking again.
Actually, let's go to Arizet real quick. Is that cool?
Say now for some depravity.
More like some mousecapades.
Escapade, hey! This week on Erizat, the Cowardly Rat Man.
Depressing, but I liked it. Is this everybody have sight here?
Yeah. Cool.
All right. This is a scene that takes place in the Miners Guild, where Arizet has finally found the dwarf. The mines kind of echo with the sounds of the waterfalls cascading down into the deep, and reverberating sounds of pickaxes on stone, occasionally shouts to others, excitement in the dwarven tongue of Dumatos. Bolmore Helmunder walks with you, and his bodyguard, Gratarok, another stocky, strong dwarf who wears long braids, red hair, tats all over him. Healy, that's how you pronounce her name, Healy?
Hell yeah.
Helly. Helly walks by your side as well, kind of marveling over the area. Altogether a new place under the city. And the dwarf, he looks towards Erzat. So what do you think of the abode of Dash and Envelay? A fine thing, is it not?
Erizat looks round him, taking it all in, and he spent quite a lot of his life underground, but largely in the sewers. This is so much more impressive, and so he's able to very genuinely say, "Oh yes, this is terribly impressive. So much work, so much skilled labor involved. Oh yes, I like it a lot." And he's sort of looking around and sort of points out sort of bits of the craftsmanship. He's no miner himself, definitely no craftsman, but I'm sure there are plenty of things he can pick out as particularly impressive.
You notice too that he's kind of taken you back and shown you the pretty much like the end of the caves, the end of the mines that as far as they've gone, and of course that they go deeper. But you get the feeling that he's about to pitch some business transaction with you, and he hadn't gotten to it yet, so
Arizette's going to see if he can actually kind of deflect the conversation a bit before that happens, because he's rather concerned about these rumors he's been hearing. But if he thinks it's going to put Bonwell's back up, he'll let Bonwell carry on speaking.
Definitely. Well, what do you want to say about that? The rumors?
Yeah. So, as I will say, look, I very much appreciate you showing me around the place. But we came here having heard troubling news. The rumor is that there's tunneling going on below the city, and not done by your guild. Could it be the enemy tunneling in?
He looks around, almost making sure there's not anybody nearby. A worried look comes across his face. Aye, we've already had a few skirmishes with some of the pale dwarfs. Yet, methinks they were running for something down there. Last night we heard one of the tunnels collapse. No more passages to the deep that way. We listen to the stones, see, and they tell us things. Like where water be, where a nice vein, a natural passage might be. And if enemies be nearby, and sometimes they still are able to sneak up on us, such as the pale dwarfs. But we tried to reach out to the Red Guard to come down here and take us seriously. They say no way an army's gonna carve a fucking tunnel up our ass to attack us. And that'd be fine, yeah. I understand that. But what if the tunnel's already there? What if the passages already exist? There's a lot of these humans they don't understand about the underworld. You are dark. I know you know about what goes on down here, the cities, the dark roads.
The deep ways, yes. Oh, I'm very familiar. Well, perhaps not as familiar with you, but I've seen the cities below. Yes, this is a concern. After all, you don't need to slip a whole army in this way. Just enough to open the gates.
Aye. Well, something that troubles me is some of the roads have been closed, collapsed, and new ones opened. The maps are not accurate anymore. I don't know if this is some kind of shadow elf magic or what it is, but now new passages are up, and we don't know where they go, but someone does. We sent a group 3 months ago. No one returned. We sent a group 2 months ago. No word. And we sent a group 3 nights ago, paid for by the Hut of Outcasts. Some demon hunters. We heard the tunnel collapse last night, though, and we've never seen them again. Many are spooked. Many ready to leave. We'd like to join up with some of the refugee camps, if you know what I'm saying, and sneak some of the children out, and probably some of the women as well. And then he looks kind of ashamed at Helly for a second, almost apologetically. The ones that ain't wishing to stay behind and fight anyway.
Rosette says, well, as you know, I'm a friend of Rattles. I believe you know him quite well, and we do have connections among the smugglers. I'm sure we could get at least the children out if the routes are still open. It's getting trickier all the time. But, well, we would want something in return.
That is fine by me, that's fine. You know, the smugglers, though, they be trying to rob us blind. They know that we get the silver for the Duke, and they're wanting a large cut of the profit to smuggle our children and family out, and they're robbing us blind. Perhaps maybe you could talk to them. Maybe get us a better deal.
Well, I'm sure we could, yes. And if I can't, then rattles can be most persuasive. But in return, we would seek, well, what you're trying to get already, more information about these tunnels. You mentioned the Dark Dwarves. Do you think they're digging these extra tunnels? Do you have any idea what they're running from?
No, I don't yet. I could try to find out more. But, we have sent a few groups, and the last groups, some of the miners think that they're running from something. They're trying to escape something else. There's just small skirmishes coming up, no army.
Fleeing. Dangers in the deep. This is
You
troubling.
notice this this little marketplace that he's taking you back into, and Helia seems excited about this, like interested. She had expressed something about favoring some dwarven steel, and then all of a sudden you hear this huge crash. It almost sounds like an explosion or a cave-in farther down the tunnel. Everybody stops, turns around, and starts to run and look that way, back the way you came. That's when you notice some screaming, crying out. And I don't want to get stuck too long on this here, but go ahead and roll initiative for me. All right. The screaming, like I said, it erupts from back the way you came. And you notice him, he looks kind of worried and backs up a little bit while his bodyguard starts to pull out weapons. Helia does the same and starts to run this way. Gets to about here and draws her. What's her weapon?
She's got a cutlass taken from the pirates.
And I don't know if you can see it yet.
Oof. It's a lot of zombies. Wow.
Yeah, you can see these dwarf zombies, like swarms of them, start to run from the passageways and attack some of the other dwarves, biting into them and flooding over them.
You said run. Are they moving fast?
Yeah, they're running pretty fast, and they seem to have actually make a perception check, and it's your turn now. Before I go letting you see all this kind of stuff.
Observation.
Okay. Yes, you do notice some sort of weird, it looks like almost like a green poisonous cloud around this horde as they're running and charging and biting into people. Their flesh is all pale, their eyes almost glow. What are you going to do?
Are there any torches around, or particularly any lanterns?
There's a lantern on the wall right there.
Okay. I'm going to go over and grab that lantern, and then what I want to do is head back over to the bridge and set the bridge alight.
Okay.
Because I think the people over the other side are already lost. But if we set the bridge alight, we can maybe save the people on this side.
Nice. So what is your full movement? It's next to your dexterity. Check it.
Right. Movement is 10.
Nice. Yeah, you're a fast little bastard. All right, so go ahead and move your full movement. back
It's
towards
third.
the
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
nice. And go ahead and roll a just a d20 to throw that lantern. Oh, so what does that look like as you launch a perfect shot?
Yeah, so he's going to aim for the absolute middle of the bridge here, so it's between two spans. And he's going to try and get as much of the oil out of the lantern as possible. So he turns round to Bolmore behind him and yells, "Run!" and then throws this into the middle. It arcs over this minecart here and shatters, spilling oil everywhere. And then, sort of rather regretfully, he looks across at the people he stranded over the far side of the bridge, and mutters to himself, "Gods have mercy on them all."
Yeah,
And then he's going to back away. I guess he can't this round, but he'll start that for next round.
yeah. The zombies charge, running the ones that haven't gotten there yet. I didn't roll for these other two, but yeah, sure enough, this guy's like trying to get by and maybe trying to jump into the water. Helia shouts, "Erazat, get behind me!" and starts to run over to kind of grab a hold of you. "How can I protect you if you do foolish things like this?"
She absolutely dwarfs him, so he looks quite intimidated. He's probably literally squeaking with fear at seeing these zombies this close anyway. So he's very keen to listen to her.
And actually, it was pretty beautiful. So I'm gonna say these zombies start to run and burn in the fire, and she keeps them back. Any that might happen to break through, she keeps them back. Some of the other dwarfs rush up to look at this, craziness. You notice the other ones that are bitten immediately stand up and start to change.
That fast.
Just they get infected and quickly change. I don't think you've seen that one before. Seen that
No.
happen.
No, definitely not.
And at the end of this scene here, Bolmore, everybody's kind of standing there, dumbfounded. And Bolmore says, "Nice thinking, lad," and puts a hand on your shoulder and pats you. And that'll be the end of that scene. Back to the Malefactorum. I think this is the scene with the Black Altar. Is that where you would like to start?
If we're doing the Ivo stuff, yes.
Yeah, do you want to do that?
Sure, let's do that. Probably would have asked. Honestly, probably would have asked Velt, maybe even Gwyn to come.
Not Darius?
Darius. Oh God, Darius. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, in terms of PCs,
Okay. Awesome.
yes.
All right. So the scene switches to the Black Altar, where many of the dead acolytes of Darius stand in the darkness. They've finished cleaning Ivo's body, and you can go ahead and take over. You guys.
Halaha has lit some candles around the black altar. The area's never smelled very great, as there are many desiccated corpses that pass in and out of the black altar room. Though the candles that are lit are not of incense, just for idle light and some mood lighting for the occasion. Halaha stands by Ivo's head, palms placed firmly against the black altar on either side. She looks down towards the alchemist. She looks up as she'd asked both Velt and Gwyn, of course Darius, to be here. Darius because this is something that she's never done before, and it's always good to get an opinion, though it was more for show than anything. She could have done it herself, but she wanted to impress herself still upon the older necromancer. Velt, because she had experience with demons, demonology, in case anything went wrong, she could be there. And of course Gwyn, as she was another trusted mage, and one who she thought would be best to exercise this mark out of. She also didn't know whether or not Gwyn knew of this mark and wanted to show her before she raised Ivo back up. As she stands there looking down at Ivo, she speaks, her voice slightly echoing off the stone in the ill-populated room.
Gwyn, if you have the ability to exercise Ivo before we do this, it might be pertinent. We're not sure whether or not this mark might attempt to take control of his body once I've raised him back up. And I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Gwyn examines the mark curiously, even running a finger, tracing the shape of it, kind of lost in the uniqueness of it. Afraid that I'm not an expert on the lore of demons, but I have put in quite a bit of study on the rite of exorcism, the rite of expulsion. I will certainly do my utmost.
Need assistance on demonology.
And she gestures a hand, not looking towards her, but she gestures towards Velt.
She's the expert here.
Velt, we do not know the name of this demon, do we?
No.
It's a
Not
shame.
that I know of.
Velt, do you think that it's best to perform the exorcism now, before it's raised?
I'm unsure, but I think that with the mark still there, there's the potential that it's still active, and if life is breathed back into the body, it will have the opportunity to claim it once more. I agree with Halaha. It's best to be wary and try to perform an exorcism beforehand.
There was some holy water that was in one of the loots that Gwyn took. And she pulls it out of her bag, and she walks toward the, well, she's already there, so she carefully puts some on her hands and then rubs it all over the demon mark. She doesn't want to cover the body entirely because she knows what agony that will cause the creature that it will become. But as she rubs this holy water into the mark, she begins to intone an ancient Koth and the rite of expulsion. So, I'm gonna up my willpower. Does the holy water add any bonuses?
Yeah, I'll give you you can put a 3 in there. But I think if you add the plus, it'll just mess it up.
Okay. I'm just finding it on my sheet. New.
Nice.
Finishes. She just kind of stares at it uncertainly, and she's just not sure that anything happened. And she ends up shrugging and standing back. I know I did it properly. That's all I can say.
Halaha nods to Gwyn and looks down at Ivo.
Well, we will know in approximately half an hour. Takes a while to do these things, but please stick around and we will see how this is worked.
And Halaha will begin the dark liturgy, summoning up a bone mage out of the remains of Ivo.
Awesome. And you can go ahead and necromancy.
Alright. Get a D6.
Darius has been watching kind of, over the candles and stuff, and but he just hasn't said anything at all. He's just kind of watching curiously. Sometimes he'll look at Halaha through the flames and stuff, but oh man. So what does that look like when this thing comes about?
So over the half an hour, she's done her usual ritual of painting various insignias upon Ivo's nude corpse, in different places, on his arms, his legs, his hips, his head, covering over the mark itself. And finally, after all that work and quite a bit of mana poured into the summoning of Ivo, she speaks in the demon tongue. You see that the corpse of Ivo begins to lift off the table. See the mana pouring from Halaha into Ivo himself. Eventually, his eyes open and pale, glazed over, milky residue. He sits up, lowers back down to the black altar. Halaha puts a hand on Ivo's shoulder, watching him, assessing to see how in control she is of the supposedly mindless creature.
Yeah, you notice as it starts to creep off of the ground there, or the black altar, you can hear the crunch of the old muscles and the cracking of the bones and stuff as it starts to get up, hauntingly, still looking a little bit like Ivo, but starting to deflate as well. You can see the bone structures a lot more easily as you think the black mana must be eating some of the flesh away. It does not seem to have any of Ivo's mannerisms at all, or anything. You don't think anything's left of Ivo in there.
Halaha smiles widely wickedly as he raises off the table, bones and muscles creaking. She looks to the rest.
It seems it is successful. Now, we welcome Gorgas into the fold. He is no longer Ivo. Will not be referred to as such.
Gwyn stares at the creature a little sadly. Yes, that's not Ivo. Well, I hope that he will be of use in the coming battles.
Oh, indeed, he will be. And he will be much more cooperative than Ivo ever was.
Well, and Gwyn manages a grim laugh. He certainly couldn't be less.
Velt frowns upon seeing the risen body of Gorgas, of a Toggy body that she had once made a deal with Halaha would no longer be raised. However, due to a favor she owed, she would allow Ivo to be risen once again to aid Halaha in the battles to come. Still, seeing a undead Batagi does not settle well with her stomach, and she frowns towards it as it moves into position next to Halaha. Well, in that case, I have a trial to prepare for, so I will be off. She turns and begins walking away.
Go ahead.
As Velt walks away, Gwyn's eyes follow her for a moment, and then she says, when you have some time, Halaha, I know that perhaps you want to play with your new toy, but there was something I wish to discuss with you.
And Halaha looks over to Darius. She had been with a small smirk on her lips, but she then looks over to Gwyn.
Says, I can talk now, Gwyn, if you'd like. Put my toy away.
She says, I'll meet you in my chambers if that's all right. I'd like some privacy.
That is fine.
She nods and nods to Darius. And leaves the room.
And Darius nods back to Gwyn, still kind of looking over at what once was Ivo, kind of curiously, and then he looks over to Halaha with raised eyebrow. Well, it seems that was successful.
It does indeed, Darius. You were worried, weren't you? That's why you gave it to me.
And he smiles. And he says, I was. But it seems everything will be fine. Once again, you get exactly what you want.
She approaches him, puts a hand under his chin.
Do you not want me to get what I want, Master Darius?
He seems like to back away a step, and he says, it doesn't matter what I want.
Does it not? What do you want, Darius?
I just want you to be happy.
Halaha. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And I want to be left to my studies.
Halaha pauses, but taken aback by that answer.
I don't quite understand, Darius. you want me to be happy.
We've had our fun, and you've had your fun. I do not want to cause any more pain for Grass or anyone else here by us continuing our relationship. I heard the other night. I heard the screaming, the jealousy. Was this over me?
Halaha laughs slightly.
No, Darius, what I told you, it was true. That Grace and I have an agreement that I can do what I please. He was not mad about this. There was something I was upset about. I was not myself that night.
Something upset you. I do not think I've ever seen this.
She thinks for a moment.
It is past traumas bubbling back to the surface. I occasionally fly into fits, things I cannot control. Fortunately, even though I attempt to get what I want, sometimes my own self does not want to get what I wish.
He smiles. Well, then you're like us.
Sorry, can you repeat that last part?
He says, well, then you are mortal like us after all.
Did you think I was not?
He says, sometimes you seem as though you are above others. Maybe grass puts you on a pedestal and blows up your head a little too much.
Maybe. But, I am only on top of others if they wish me to be.
Speaking, where is Rattles these days?
I do not know. After his attempted assassination, I think he is hiding out until whatever happens.
The trial.
Yes.
He will certainly stand trial, as will Velt.
What are your opinions on this?
He's quiet for a moment, and he says, I think Rattles be given the prime conviction. Attempting to murder one of the archangels is unforgivable. And with Velt, perhaps she had no choice.
Alaha nods.
Well, if this demon Mark were to say anything, and if Velt's words were true, that the demon had already intertwined with Ivo's consciousness, I believe what she did was for the better. But, as you say with the Rattles.
But she holds up her hands. She takes a few steps back.
I will leave you to your studies, Darius. And only if you desire to see me again on the black altar as I was before, let me know. I will not push the issue. You're a kind man, Darius.
Kind?
In your own way.
And he smiles, kind of still looking at Gorgas, standing there, kind of hovering there. He says, his smile goes away pretty quick, though, when he looks at Gorgas. Please still be careful with this one.
I will. Thank you.
And Halaha will send Gorgas off to the rest of the undead while she goes towards Gwyn's chambers.
All right. Where's Velt?
Velt probably went back to her room, where she's been largely this entire time between coming back from her last mission and the trial, as a lot of the guild members do not find her an incredibly welcome presence at the moment, considering she's killed 2 guild members and hasn't been tried yet.
Yeah. Okay. We don't quite need a scene with her then, right?
Nah, we don't need a scene with her till the trial.
And it's safe to say Arazat is coming back to this place. Or where would he be going?
Yeah. He would actually briefly stop by Rattles' place and leave him a note. But then he'd come here just to kind of update him on what happened. But then he'd come straight back here, looking even more nervous than usual.
Yeah. You do know that when you left, or before you left there, that they kind of barricaded that area and kind of locked it down. So they have all of their dwarf troops there. They're going to try to send out for the Red Guard as well to get more, be taken more seriously now. And one of the priests, the dwarf priests, names those creatures plague zombies. So just to let you know, he's probably right about it as you leave. So we will do the next scene in Gwyn's chamber. And this is with Gwyn, and Halaha's coming to the door.
Yes.
Yeah, Gwyn prepares for this, knowing that Grass's eyes are always on Halaha. When she gets to her chambers, she touches a hand to a stone placed above her heart, one placed above her abdomen, and she grips her verendum and feels the will from the Amalite flowing through her as well. She then pulls out a scroll and waits for the sound of Halaha's arrival and begins to read from it when she hears the knocking. It's going to be the Scroll of Telepathy.
Yeah, Halaha knocks on the door 3 times.
Gwyn quickly finishes the chant softly so that it can't necessarily be heard through the door, and then casts it aside. She makes sure that any papers that are sensitive or relevant are, turned upside down, not really visible. She opens the door, looking radiant, smelling wonderful, and takes in Halaha. Thank you for coming, and please enter.
Halaha comes in. She'd known that she was going to speak to Gwyn before this, so she had primed herself beforehand. And she takes a look at Gwyn up and down, takes in her scent, smiles idly.
Good day, Gwyn.
Hello. I heard a certain disturbance coming from Grass's chambers, and well, I thought we might want to have a talk about it.
Of course. That is what I wanted to talk to you about as well.
Halaha makes her way and takes a seat on Gwyn's bed and pats the seat next to her.
And Gwyn raises an eyebrow and then sits next to her, crossing her legs, letting the slit right up. Well, I must say I was impressed today. Invited me to view and participate in that ritual. That perhaps you might be too angry.
Halaha shakes her head.
She says, "Why would I be angry at you, Gwyn? You know, it takes one to know one."
Gwyn smiles kind of wickedly, and she says, I'm glad that you see it that way. I do like you, Halaha. And I've achieved what I've desired here. I sought only to secure my position. You taught me well that the way to do that was to extend the hand of friendship to those who might be receptive of it. One can never have too many friends. And she kind of puts her hand over Halaha's and looks her in the eye. And as she does, Halaha hears in her mind, I did it for you, Halaha. I swore that I would fight for you, and I meant it.
Halaha moves her hand and puts it underneath Gwyn's chin, pinching it between her thumb and her forefinger. And she speaks back in her mind towards Gwyn.
"Oh, I appreciate everything that you're trying to do for me, Gwyn. I do. But if you do wish to attempt to continue with Grass, you can. That's fine with me. See how far you can push him. But I have one request."
Gwyn says mentally, what is it? But she fills the space, the empty air that Grass might be listening to. She pushes a lock of hair back from Halaha's face and says, you are so lovely.
Halaha speaks out loud.
"As are you, Gwyn."
And in her mind, she says,
"There are two options you can take further. Or Grass is mine, of course. But if you do wish to press on, before you go to him, you can either choose to fuck me or fuck both of us."
Gwyn tries to keep the startlement from her face, but lets herself calm for a minute and relax again into that smile, stroking Halaha's face. We are beautiful, Halaha. We can never trust in love that is based on our beauty, because it can be marred, and there will always come another more beautiful. I will not ask you anymore if Grass is who you wish to be with. Instead, I ask, is this who you want to be? If you are certain, then so be it. But if you have any doubts, think long and hard. Time may be running out. As for the other, she leans forward and kisses Halaha on the lips, putting her hand behind her. It's a soft kiss, almost like testing waters that you think might be cold.
And Halaha, she, of course, holds Gwyn by the back of the head, pulling her in, and she thinks back to Gwyn.
Of course I love grass. This is why I choose him. For though he's not beautiful, he's beautiful to me. And he's become a part of me that I cannot push away. But you, I will say I would suggest that you stay away. And Halaha wraps a hand around Gwyn's throat, and out loud she says, I'm sorry, I'm not soft.
Does she seem like she's attacking Gwyn? What's the...
She's...
Or just threatening?
No, it is very much a sexual grab.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Yep, she's topping.
Gwyn feels the hand at her throat. She puts her other hand over it and leans in and kind of just lets her be drawn into whatever Halaha is pulling her toward. She looks at Halaha into her eyes. She says, we are so different, and yet there's something between us. Strange connection.
Oh yes, a deep connection, Gwyn. But I will say, I hope you don't break like I almost broke Rattles.
And Gwyn looks at Halaha and says, with a slight smile on her face, Halaha, I am unbreakable.
I will see about that.
And I feel like at that point we fade.
Well, I think what happens is actually Gwyn they probably kisses her again, but then there's a knock at the door interrupting them because it is very close to Velt's trial, and unfortunately they do not have time to fully indulge.
Halaha hisses, sound letting go of Gwyn's throat.
Next time, don't tease me.
And Gwyn puts one long finger to Halaha's lips and says, but that's half the fun.
You're right. Now go. I will follow. I'd love to watch you go.
Gwyn nods and glances up into a corner and then heads out the door.
And Halaha will follow.
Ding. Right. So Arizet is going to make it back in time for the trial then.
Yep.
I'll say that Koto was the one that showed up at the door to get Gwen. He doesn't say anything as you both leave. He just kind of gives a slight bow. And
lets his imagination run wild.
yeah. Doesn't show any signs of concern or interest or anything. He follows behind. Says, it's time for the trial. So, at this time, all of the guild members gather in the Great Hall. Oh, I forgot to bring you guys over here. Grass does come up next to you, Halaha, before this happens.
She smiles over to Grass and rubs his shoulder in comfort.
I'm surprised you're not late.
He seems like a little worried on his face. And he says, something has been bothering me.
What? What is it?
Some of the spells I've been using, I think something may have gone wrong. I hear the whispers, the voices. I see someone watching me in the shadows. I could swear it is the voice of Ivo.
And Alaha, her face becomes serious. Concerned look runs over it and says,
I am not sure what this means. Whatever it is, do not follow it. Don't speak to it. Just be careful, Grass. I don't want anything happening to you.
I didn't get a chance to see you. But I wanted to speak to you about the trial here.
Yes, of course. What is it?
Do you think Velt should be given the prime conviction?
Alaha shakes her head.
No, I don't think so. Velt is much more useful alive. She's the one who gave me the information on the mark. Ivo... he was a problem. The Zet was an issue. I do not think she deserves it. But you know my feelings on rattles.
Yes, his time will come. And he takes your hand and kisses it. And still seems like very weirded out. Looking around strangely, his yellow eyes, and kind of gives you a quick half bow before he starts to go up to the podium where the other archangels are gathering.
She gives him a wave, and as he turns his back, her eyes glance up towards Gwyn, thoughts running through her head, but she shakes it out, wanting to focus instead on the trial.
All right. Angel pretty much have to gather up at the podium area, kind of a raised platform above the summoning circle, and all of the members hanging out in the shadows. Velt ends up having to stand in the center of the summoning chamber, of course, for everybody to look at. Center stage.
As people are gathering, Gwyn asks to conduct a bit of Archangel business since they're rarely together. She had sent out some proposals, and she wonders if everyone has chosen their successors.
No. The vote on that seems to get dismantled. Seems like too many of them chose against that for some reason or other. And once again, you still haven't even seen this headmaster, even being an archangel. this faceless man that's supposed to be the 5th member of the Archangels.
Well, Gwen's actually seen him before, right? Because she knows who he is.
I guess you have heard of him. You know who he is, but he hasn't come to any of the meetings or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who you've seen him before because you know he is. Yeah, but he doesn't seem to come to the meetings for some reason. You figure maybe it's kind of like a security reason or something like that.
I guess they're kind of waiting for him to arrive to start things.
And yeah, they do. They gather up there, and when Veleus is the last one to arrive, you notice that he nods and he whispers to the rest of you, "All right, we are ready." And he turns and he says, "Velt."
Velt
Hi.
looks up towards him.
You have been summoned to trial for the death of Ivo and the death of Nizet. Do you have anything to say in your defense of these murders?
I do. However, before I begin, I would make a request.
He looks at the others. Of course.
From the moment that Gwen first found me outside of Ivo's lab, she already believed my innocence. I do not believe that she should be allowed a vote in this matter. May it be determined by those who will be persuaded or dissuaded by the evidence presented here.
Gwen looks at her, half frowning and half smiling, and says, "I'm afraid that those on trial do not get to pick their judges. That would set a dangerous precedent. And don't you worry, Velt. I shall listen carefully to the evidence presented, and if there is conclusive proof that you have, in fact, acted against guild law, then I will judge accordingly." But she seems really confident, like she just has this smug smile on her face, and she's kind of fingering a piece of paper in front of her.
Velt looks towards the other 3 judges to see their reactions. If they're kind of siding with Gwen or if they're considering the proposal.
Grass steps forward and, unfortunately, Gwen must be one of the judges. She is an archangel.
Velt frowns slightly.
Very well.
Darius also, he nods. He says, "She will do her duty." And Veleus nods as well. "Let us hear your words, Velt."
She takes a deep breath and exhales.
A number of weeks ago, Otep ordered me on a mission to visit with the Silent Boot in the sewers to offer an alliance between our 2 guilds. During our meeting, we were disrupted by a group of Pale Ones, as well as Templars and priests from the Scythe. At the end, we were able to capture one alive, and I brought him back to the guild for questioning. As Ivo prepared herbs of truth and Halaha questioned him, we found out certain pieces of information that would become important to the events of what I am being tried here for today. We learned that the Silent Boot had not wanted to bow to the Scythe, and so they sent a group of Pale Ones to infect the members in order to attempt to persuade or overrun them to gain their influence. We simply had to happen to be there to help stop them. We learned that the Scythe had taken over the Cartographer's Guild not long before, and that the Pale Ones and the Scythe were receiving their orders from a creature posing as Godric Demew, the captain of the Red Guard, a creature I would later learn was a shapeshifter. We learned that the Scythe had paid pirates to bring the Pale Plague here, and finally, before the Templar was killed, we learned that they were being led by a Cambion named Drulgath, the executioner of the 47th Gate. As the weeks went on, guild business took over priority, and I was taken on mission after mission to do other tasks. But as we returned from across the sea, we saw the armies approaching, and I knew we did not have much time to settle the affairs that needed to be taken care of before they arrived to our shores. I met with both Gwyn and Halaha and formed a plan to investigate Godric Demew, find where he was, and kill him so that the Red Guard would be free to help defend the city when the time came. Ivo just happened to appear around the same time once again, also with a plan to infiltrate the Red Guard in order to save the... Oh my god, what's their name?
Vince.
That one.
Caerdunns?
Caerdunns, yeah.
To save the Caerdunns, whose manor had been attacked by the Red Guard and much of their relics and artifacts had been confiscated. As we were infiltrating the Red Guard, I happened to see Godric Demew. I approached him, struck him down, and as he laid there dying, the body of Nezet was revealed. After this event, we learned that Nezet had been tasked with infiltrating the Red Keep by Otep himself, and that Grass was supposed to keep tabs on him and watch over him. However, something must have happened, and he was lost track of and somehow turned over to the enemy. That is my defense for Nezet.
Gwyn turns to Grass. As you were tasked with watching over Nezet, what happened?
He looks away as he's been whispering. He just kind of whispered to Darius what happened, and he says, I was watching him for some time. I did know he was one of the agents of the Obsidian Scythe, and I was hoping that he would lead us to their secret hideouts. I was biding my time, but that time never came. He was killed before he could give any pertinent information.
In that case, and with this, and she raises a document, a letter discovered at the Cartographers Guild that confirms Nizet was, in fact, not a member of the Malefactorum, but an agent of the Obsidian Scythe. This trial over Nizet can be considered concluded, as he was not a member of the Malefactorum.
Belias smiles and steps forward. Agreed. I vote her innocent. Darius nods. Innocent. Grass says, "What is this letter?"
Gwyn holds it out for him. It's just the letter that talks about, well, you know the letter.
Yeah.
She's not handing over all the information she found, just the letter that talks about Nizet.
And yeah, he does check it over. And he seems to nod. I vote innocent for Velt. And of course, Gwyn does as well.
She almost at the last minute realizes people are waiting for her, and she says, "Oh, innocent."
Then
Velias looks, and what of Ivo?
after I killed Nizet, and we saved the Caerdunns, the Red Guard realized what had happened to their leader, and they swore to keep it a secret as long as we kept it a secret, and they would owe our guild a favor. As we took back the Caerdun's things, well, both Rados and Halaha were distracted. I witnessed Ivo taking a artifact that seemed dangerous. An artifact that he was trying to hide from everyone else.
What artifact is this? Grass steps forward.
Velt looks towards Gwyn.
Gwyn rises to speak, and she says, "It is a mask that emanates great evil and great power. It has been secured so that its influence, which may have been part of what drove Ivo to attack Velt. We need to study it to know more about it before it can be safely handled. But yes, it's been recovered."
And Grass looks towards Gwyn, very interested in it. And then he looks to Darius, who doesn't say anything, just looks ahead at Velt. He looks to Velias. Velias kind of shifts uncomfortably for a minute. And Velias says, yes, a powerful artifact. And Grass says, well, I would like to see this artifact after the trial.
Gwyn shakes her head and says, "I'm afraid that its influence is so great. It can't be safely handled by anyone, not until we know more. The Caerdunns are the one who know about it, and in fact, following this trial, it was my intention to speak with them so that we may know how to safely handle it. It seems foolish to attempt to do so beforehand."
He seems like he's about to protest, but Darius steps forward. Says, yes, Ivo also had a demon mark. This could have influenced his behavior. when Velt encountered him in the apothecary.
I also witnessed this demon mark.
Not to interrupt your meeting, but I feel it necessary to finish what I have to say.
Please, Valea says, go on, Velt.
I did not know what the mask did, but it was made of ancient flesh, and I believed it to be dangerous. Although my distrust of Ivo was not a secret, I knew that many within our walls kept secrets for various reasons, and it was not my duty to reveal his if he had a good reason for doing so. So I decided to approach him the next morning. As I did, I went to his lab and told him that we had business. He invited me in. He was working on various potions, as he often did. I closed the door behind me and told him that I saw him take the mask from the Caerdunns, and I asked him what he was planning to do with it. After I mentioned the mask, he became aggressive. He put his hands under the table and asked me who else I had told about the mask telepathically. I audibly spoke, telling him to keep his hands visible unless he wanted things to escalate further than he may desire. I told him that no one else knew, but if necessary, I had no qualms in killing him and bringing it to the Archangels if I sensed that he was going to use it for purposes other than the guild's survival. After I said that, Ivo muttered some words and darkness enveloped me. He spoke again within my mind, saying to be silent, and telling me to respond to him in my mind. I did not know the danger I invited upon myself by knowing of the mask. I warned him mentally that if he did not explain himself in the next few seconds, I would attack. At that moment, I began hearing the clattering of metal around me, which I would later learn were poisoned caltrops. He then told me that the mask is too dangerous, that if others in the guild knew of it, they would seek to use it, that without assistance, they would surely go mad. And she looks towards Grass briefly, that if the likes of Grass obtained it, it would surely spell doom for the guild. He then threw a vial of explosive liquid at me, and our combat began, and I emerged victorious, however, just barely. A number of days later, Halaha approached me regarding the body of Ivo. She said he possessed a demon mark from a live demon, and she needed my help in investigating it in order to determine whether it was still dangerous or not. As I studied him and as I studied the mark, I saw that it had already reached his head. For those unaware, living demon marks are quite dangerous in that the demons make these deals in order to slowly eat the soul of the host and gain control of their body. By the time the mark reaches the head, the demon is already entwined into the subject's mind. I do not know for certain how much influence the demon had over him in wanting to investigate this mask and use its power in attacking me. But I will say that whether he had thrown those vials of flame at me or not, I would have attacked him momentarily. And for that, I am uncertain, truly, if I am guilty or innocent in the killing of Ivo. However, despite the troops that are nearing our shores, and despite various people's insistence that I should wait until after we have defended our city for this trial to occur, I have insisted on it happening. For I believe that many in the guild do not presently trust me, since I have killed 2 guild members in less than a day. I believe that if I had been allowed to fight alongside the guild against the armies, that it would divide the guild, it would sow distrust, and it would only cause questioning of the archangels. I believe that my killing of Nizette was justified. You have already said so yourselves. Whether you condemn me or find me innocent of the killing of Ivo, I will accept your decision. However, I have found more than I could have ever imagined in my life in this guild. I've found more riches, more strength, more purpose. It has been no secret that this entire time I have sought death and found frustration and anger in the times that I have not been granted it. But as I lay still outside of Ivo's laboratory, with his poison coursing through my veins and the darkness coming towards me, I realized that I did not yet want to die. I realized that I had found something to live for, something to protect, something, a purpose that I would one day in the future want to die for. However, something that I also want to fight for. So, if you do condemn me to death, I ask one favor of you all. Kill me in a manner that my body may be raised once more by Halaha, so that I may fight this army that invades our city, and then I may be granted rest.
You hear a gasp from the crowd as she says that. And Veleas is smiling and straight at you, Velt, and nodding.
Gwyn seems very taken aback. She looks at Velt and she looks at the others, and she pulls something from her bag. Says, "That's all very interesting testimony, Velt, and if true, if he attacked you first, then it seems rather straightforward. But as it is only your word, I think that must be verified, so that others may trust your word as I do." She says, "These are herbs of truth. Approach, please."
She approaches, looking up towards your hands holding the herbs.
She puts out a little dish and puts the herbs on it. She places it kind of in the center of the table they're all seated at, so that the fumes are probably wafting toward all of them, but mostly the people in the middle. And she says, "Inhale deeply, Velt."
Velt takes a deep, deep whiff.
All right. I think you have to roll willpower to see if it actually works.
That's not gonna go well. Is there just a way for me to submit?
Well, I mean, you can tell the truth no matter what. And we probably won't know whether it's working or not, but
I'll just roll willpower. It's most likely gonna fail anyway. Maybe not.
nope, it failed.
Okay.
Target number 25.
Oh, yeah, that's a hard one.
So, yes. She looks at the others and says, Velt, did in fact Ivo attack you before you attacked him?
Yes.
Was he in fact behaving extraordinarily strangely?
He was very aggressive and defensive.
Did you feel yourself threatened prior to his attacking you?
He had cast a spell on me already. He had spread poison caltrops in the ground. He had not given me an answer of what he was planning. His tone was aggressive, his body language violent. I did find that I felt threatened.
Gwen nods. Knowing what you do about demons and demon marks, do you truly believe that that demon might have been in control of Ivo at that moment or influencing his actions?
I do not know how long Ivo has had that demon mark, nor how long it has been since it first progressed to his mind. I think it is very likely that Ivo could simply be influenced by the demon, but still had control over himself. Perhaps the demon could have only been a whisper in his ear. Perhaps it could have been more. I cannot say for certain.
Anyone else have any questions for Velt?
Grass steps forward, looking agitated, and he says, did Ivo say he was keeping the mask from me? Darius looks at him. What relevance is this to her innocence? And Grass holds up his hand. Is this mask being hidden from me? Alone? And he looks at the others, and other archangels.
No, Grass, it is not being hidden from you alone. Do you think that it should be hidden from you? Do you think that you might be influenced to evil actions by this mask? And she looks down at the smoke rising from the herbs of truth directly in front of him and Darius.
He looks over at you, kind of just angrily, squinting yellow eyes, and he's like, all of my actions have been to protect the guild. I do not wish any danger on anyone. But to hide this mask from me, I believe someone is reaching out to me from the other side. Someone has been speaking to me.
To what purpose?
I think it has something to do with this mask.
Is it asking you to find it? To put it on?
I cannot hear the words. It sounds like Ivo.
Gwyn nods. I spoke true, Grass, when I said that I believe that this mask and its influence is too dangerous for any of us to handle it or attempt to use it or even study it until we know more. The Caerdunns must be questioned. They must reveal what they know about it. If it's too dangerous to use, we need to know, but if it is a weapon that can be used against our enemies, then we must take advantage of it.
And Darius steps forward again and kind of touches lightly on Grass's shoulder. This is a matter after the trial. He says, we must choose. Is Velt innocent or not?
Gwen says, she has spoken under herbs of truth. It seems clear-cut to me. She is innocent.
And he nods. Darius agrees. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on her behalf? He looks into the crowd.
Alaha steps up, says,
There is only one thing I wish to say, if I can.
Yes, please do so.
She looks to the rest, looks back to everyone else, and up to the archangels.
I had spoken to Ivo personally in a private manner. He had admitted to me, so I know that this was indeed a living demon mark. His goals were to eventually tame it, to bring it under his heel. But he said that potentially the demon, its goal, wished to take over Ivo. He never said how long he had the mark, but it was speaking with him. These are his words. So, someone who has had interactions with demons before, I would say I would not trust the man, for the demon's words are sweet as honey, but unfortunately those who follow normally will betray all those underneath them, even friends. But do with that as you will.
She'll move back into the crowd.
Valea steps forward. Does anyone else offer for Velt? Against her or for her?
Arazat is keeping carefully to the shadows at the back of him.
And he nods and he says, I vote for innocence. Darius votes, I vote for innocence. Grass once again hesitating for a while, looking at Velt. And then looking to Halaha, who really controls whatever he says. And he says, innocence. And once again, there's no need for the faceless for an astonishing victory for Velt.
Well, let this matter be settled in everyone's mind, Gwen says, looking around the room, because I'm sure there's tons of people gathered here.
Yeah. And many of them cheer. Some of them come and, slap you on the back and cheer for you and say, give you the thumbs up. So you can tell. You didn't even realize that quite a few, semi-fans, there's already fans of you, and they've already heard the words, of your endeavors, how this creature with death wish has been able to survive this long. And And it probably does well to help you, remind you that that the guild is on your side and that the trial was probably necessary to prove that. So everybody else dissipates after that, unless there's any more. But
Yeah.
some of the
Actually,
archangels chill.
As the crowd is dissipating, but before the archangels leave, Erazat will walk forward and say, "If I may trouble the council for a moment of their time." He sort of looks, and he will also look in the direction of first Velt and then Halaha, and just kind of incline his head slightly, just so they it's a sort of subtle invitation. And then he'll just wait for most of the crowd to sort of dissipate, and certainly for the air around it to be clear, and then he'll lower his voice. Earlier today, I followed a rumor to the Miners Guild. In the Ashen Quarter, I met with, what was his name? Bolmore?
Oh, Bolmore, yeah.
Yeah. And he gave me grave news. There are old dwarves breaking through into the tunnels under the city. Not an act of aggression, but fleeing danger. They were unsure what that danger might be, but while we were talking, we found out all too clearly what the danger was. There is a horde of zombies below this city, plague zombies. Yeah, they broke through into the dwarven tunnel, and, well, we managed to hold them at bay, but many were lost in front of our eyes. Their numbers, even in that one place, were, well, too many to deal with. If they were to bubble up into the streets, then we would have a most serious matter on our hands. I'm not sure the army would even need to get through the gates. We'd all be dead before they got here. The Miners Guild are hoping that the Red Guard will now take this matter seriously, but I felt it was of serious enough import that, well, that this council should be aware. And he bows his head. And you notice there's a little change in his demeanor. He's still obviously nervous of just about everyone here, with the possible exception of Gwyn. And he obviously looks scared when he's talking about the zombies as well, but they're, in general, the way he walks, the way he holds himself, is actually a little more confident than he used to be. He doesn't shrink and cringe quite as much as he used to.
Yeah. Kodo actually walks up with like an impressed look on his face, and nods to you. And he says, "Where was this exactly?" And seems a little bit more interested, but Darius cuts him off as he starts to speak over everybody, and he says, "Plague zombies. So," and he looks to Halaha. "They created this plague. The pale ones infected us, and they knew eventually they would die. Thus they created the plague zombies out of the dead. Any that were not burned."
Allah nods. At least from our studies, what this shows is that we can now take control of them. This is where we can shine.
He nods. Says, thank you, Arizat, for bringing us this information.
Perhaps this is something that could be something that draws us together, the Silent Boot and the Malefactorum. Their territory is underground. They may be more aware of where these tunnels are coming up from. They may be better equipped, have better knowledge about the underground and be able to warn or fight these things. I know that Halaha has a way of communicating with one of them.
Yes, unfortunately.
She takes a deep breath.
I have not heard from Balkavar in a week's time. I am concerned as to what happened, but wish I will continue to reach out. Though if I am to meet with him, I do not wish to go alone.
We cannot fight this war on all fronts. We need allies.
Correct.
Phileas nods and has an
You cut out. I can't understand what you said.
As an archangel, you are not required to go yourself, Gwyn, unless you wish to. Are you still interested in seeing what the Caerdunns have to say?
Oh, this is something I have to hear for myself. I shall indeed go. She looks over at Halaha and kind of smiles a little bit. Actually, when I asked to speak to you earlier, this was part of it. It slipped my mind at the time. I know that you've got a bit of a bond with Matthias.
Ooh. Halaha smiles at that. Yes, and now that his daughter Farah is out of the picture, it will be much easier.
You could work your magic on him with Arizata's backup while I speak with the sun. And Velt could accompany me, perhaps, or we could swap. Neither of us should go without someone to watch our backs. And then we can compare what the son and the father have to say.
Agreed.
Phileas nods and, if you need anything from the armory, I'll be there. Koto, perhaps you should speak with Arizat about the mining guild and setting up some sort of intelligence operation with him.
One more thing, Gwyn says. While examining the documents we found from the Cartographers Guild, it appears that they've got a second hideout or headquarters located near the Candlelight Inn. It also appears that there's another abomination hidden somewhere in the city. As they had fully infiltrated the cartographers, it may be there. It may be somewhere else, but that's my best guess. It's why it's so important that Darius and Halaha study everything they can about the abomination we've got.
Koto nods. Perhaps I should check out this Candlelight Inn then.
When we captured the Templar and questioned him, he mentioned that their goal was to slowly overtake the city, so that when the time came and their troops arrived, there would be no need for a battle. That the city would simply welcome them with open arms. Much of their resources have been poured into capturing the city before the fleet even arrives. If we can find their last hideout, stop the attack from underground, then I believe we have a good chance of winning this war.
Gwyn deliberately does not mention that they're outnumbered 3 to 1. But she does say, looking at another piece of paper, the Hut of Outcasts. I have not heard of this. Does anyone know what that is?
I heard a mention of it, didn't I? Saying they were demon hunters.
Ah, yeah.
So yeah, Erazat will say, yes, it was mentioned around, well, just before the zombies attacked. They are apparently demon hunters. They were interested in what was going on below the city. They'd asked the Miners Guild to investigate. Did he say that it was a group of them that had gone missing, or a group that they'd commissioned that had gone missing? I can't remember.
Yeah, there was an actual group of, well, all of them. Actually, their own people. Some of the Hut of the Outcasts, people that they had hired. Yeah, pretty much everybody that's been sent has gone missing. Darius looks over and he nods. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you not finished?
No, I was just going to say I passed on. Yeah.
Darius nods and he says to Gwyn, the Heathmoney Villa, where the Caerdunns were taken. The Dark Elves there, that own the villa, they are in league with the Hut of Outcasts. Perhaps when you go to speak with them, you can find out more about the Outcasts.
Gwyn opens her mouth as if to say something, and then she closes it again and nods. Of course. Well, congratulations, Velt, you're a free woman. Now get ready, we've got a mission. She looks at Erazat, you too.
Allow me a moment to grab my things.
Yes, and before I grab my contingent, she looks up to Grass. Can I speak to you for a moment?
Of course.
She'll pull him away to another corner of the circle, away from the others, and she looks to him with great concern.
Well, I'm gone. I don't want you looking for whatever this mask is. Okay?
I am furious.
I can see it, and I saw it in your face, Grass. Whatever it is. Say, you think Ivo has started to talk to you?
I can hear his voice. It's distant, as if clouded.
She grabs his face and runs her thumbs along his cheekbones.
Promise me you won't seek it out. We have ways of contacting Ivo if you really wish to speak to him. But do not do this without me. I promise.
I promise, my love. I will wait. It has been decided, of course, by the Ark that more information must be collected, of course, before I am able to investigate this mask myself. Do you know anything about this mask? Did you know?
She shakes her head.
No, this is the first time that I've heard of this.
Is that a lie?
No.
I told you, we kept it between us.
Yeah. She doesn't know anything about it.
Damn it. And he takes your hand. He seems a lot better now. A lot more relaxed, just probably being in your presence too. And he pulls you close. Good luck.
Thank you. And You be good. Okay.
He has like a quizzical look on his face. I am always good.
I'll be the judge of that. She pulls him in for a kiss before departing and going down to fetch her contingent.
Nice. Anybody else need anything else before they go?
Oh, Gwen went to the conjuring chamber. That's my role right there.
Oh, sweet.
I'm summoning a, yeah.
You're summon what?
Um,
Power 2?
she probably isn't thinking they're going to need a power 3, so yeah, she probably would just do power 2 just for the mana purposes. She'll start slowly regenning some mana with some herbs.
And can you make a willpower check?
Hmm?
Oh. I'm making your willpower check, aren't I?
Yeah, she gets a plus 5 because of her Amylite.
Okay, so you do the ritual right there, and in the summoning chamber there. So pretty much after everybody starts to leave, of course, some people stay and watch. Darius watches as well. He's about to disappear and asks if you need any assistance. He would share in the drain with you if you wished.
Who's helping?
Darius, if you
Oh.
want.
Oh yeah, I'll hold hands with Darius for a while.
He's a hot daddy, so you should.
Dad bod. Alright. And indeed, the smoke begins to curl up in the center of the chamber as a friendly creature appears. Did you call Sazek or Dax?
I'm actually bringing Dax. Dax is a pain in the butt, but he's sneakier.
Okay. Yeah, he appears kind of like he was busy doing something, so he's like aggravated and spits and hisses and stuff and looks over through the haze for a moment, appearing dizzy, and when he peers through the smoke,
Hey, don't be that way, Daz. I was going to take you somewhere fun. If you're really that upset, I can send you back and bring in Sazek's. We are headed to a very rich house. There's going to be a lot of glittery things about, but if you were busy...
His whole demeanor changes. Shiny.
Lots of shinies.
And he flaps around. Who are you taking home?
So, I'm just gonna take. I want to keep Randall behind, but I am gonna take. I don't know. Did she have time to charge Ivo? Because we.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So Ivo's fully charged. So you know what? I'm gonna bring Ivo with me. So Ivo, Nazette, Tevin, Epic, and Marco. They're all gonna come with me.
Okay. Ivo, Nazette, Tevin, Marco.
You see.
How recognizable is Ivo?
He's just in robes. He's not in any armor. I think his like cheeks are extremely sallow. His gaze, it's just milky white over his eyes. His jaw is slack. There's some recognizable portions of Ivo, probably enough to make your skin crawl. The same thing with Nazette, but he definitely looks dead.
So I don't think Erazat knew she was doing this, and so this is the first he's learning of it. And he didn't really know Nizet, but he did know Ivo, and he'd never really seen the dark side of Ivo. So he is really quite shocked when he sees him like this. It takes a moment to recognize him, and then he gasps and backs away. And he's never been one for getting too close to Halaha, but now he's staying like a mile away from her, as far away as he can reasonably stay. And he's just looking at her with shock. He doesn't say anything.
And you can see beside her, it's probably, you don't recognize Nizet too much because he's fully armored. Same thing with Tevin, they've got helmets. Pretty much all of them do except for Ivo. But Tevin, who stands to her right, and Nizet, who stands to her left, but mostly Tevin, you can see he wields a dragon cestus in his one hand, and the other a large tower shield. No, Evik and Nizet are different.
What's the girl's name? Sorry.
Marco.
Marco?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you see that Tevin is heavily armored. He is probably one of the best armored in the guild. It looks very new, very polished, very put together. If there wasn't that slight scent of death that came from him, you'd assume that he was a very expensive bodyguard.
And you guys are going to a dark elf villa, which is kind of on the noble side, a noble house. The dark elves do not usually mind necromancy, so that's good.
As we leave and we're headed there, Gwyn kind of huddles up with everyone and says, I wanted to warn you all. The intelligence I've viewed indicates that the Hut of the Outcast have been infiltrated, perhaps not taken over, but there is someone from the Scythe working inside them. Going into this place, I've got a feeling we should all be wary of it. The possibility.
Halaha nods and says, maybe we could get them to reveal themselves if need be. But she looks to Velt, before we depart as well. I want to say how... She looks for the right word, pausing. Joyed I am that you're still here.
We don't have to talk about this.
Velt says, kind of uncomfortably.
Halaha smiles and wraps arms around Velt, but I want to...
Yeah, Velt makes a really, disgusted and uncomfortable face as you do that.
Get off of me.
No.
I've already killed 2 guild members, don't make it a 3rd.
Oh, you wouldn't kill me, Velt.
Erazat looks impressed that someone is able to resist Halaha.
Seduce.
Alright, let's move you guys over. Is that right? The undead?
Yes. I have renamed, it's fine, I've renamed Nizet. His new name is Reek.
Okay.
So, he
I'll
has
put
no
that up.
dick.
Excellent. Does everybody have sight here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Even Ivo has sight.
I don't see the ratkin. Where is he at?
Have
Interesting.
sight, but I don't seem to be on there.
No, you
Oh my
definitely.
god, look at this fucking monstrous
army.
army.
We're going shopping. We're going to the store. Anybody need anything?
This is disgusting. I'm so sorry.
It's like taking all your kids to the store, right?
I've got half my
It
kids
is.
with me.
I used to have this friend. I'm taking
did everyone
20
go-
silent assassins.
Did everyone go to the bathroom before we left? Right.
Just
Yeah,
groans
at
in
least
the
she doesn't
back.
have to worry about that.
Yeah.
It's true. They're all mindless. They can just shit their pants. It's fine.
All right. The actual I forgot. The actual place is not very far. It's a few blocks away. The hut of outcasts, though, is rumored to be in this area up here of the map. That's about as much as you guys know about the hut of outcasts. So we really don't need this. We don't need to make a random encounter check.
I feel like anybody would be too scared to approach us.
Yeah.
Considering half of them are well armed.
Too scared to approach us.
Well, all the undead, save for Ivo, they all have like pretty good armor on them. Scary. Ooh. 2 places.
Alright. Does everybody have sight on this place?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Myself here.
Oh. Yeah, it is showing 2 places here. Let's fix that. Is it still doing that?
Nope, you're good.
As they walk in, Gwyn also says, "Let's try not to mention anything about the mask in front of the hosts."
Yes, I agree.
I'll leave the talking to you two.
You guys do notice as you're walking through the streets, the chill, the winter chill, the quite a few people. It's always dark, of course. During the daytime, it is a little bit lighter, but most of the people are off the streets, even in the day. Occasionally, a wagon will go by, a few people walking, a few people shopping here and there. But when you reach the villa is pretty much a 3-story building with a gate around it, a stone wall that's about 15 foot high. You notice 2 of the guards at the front gate cross their spears when you get close, and one of them says, "What business do you have here?"
Gwyn steps forward. She says, "I'm Gwyn Fane of the Malefactorum, an archangel. I'm here to speak to the Caerdunns."
And his face changes, lightens up a bit, and he says, "I remember you. My apologies, my lady."
And she smiles faintly at that and inclines her head.
And he lets you in. You are taken up there by one of the, that same guard, and they let you inside of the Great Hall, where you are taken to this chamber here to wait. You do notice a few dark elves kind of lingering in the shadows. For a moment, you'll see their faces as they peer curiously at you guys from other rooms before moving on. And then you can hear a familiar voice as Matthias appears. coming down the stairs. You've come to see me again.
Matthias. Laha looks up to the Caerdunn man.
It is so good to see you again.
Indeed it is, my lady. What business brings you here?
No, we wish to talk about certain things.
She looks over to Gwyn.
Where is your son, may I ask?
Oh, indeed. I wanted to check on his well-being as I worked so hard to keep him alive. And she smiles.
He says, Elidor is, in fact, in a meeting with some of his favorite people in the world. He has not agreed with me on many things lately, especially hiring the manufacturer, I'm afraid. He has always been a fan of the Hut of Outcasts and thinks that the demon hunters are the greatest in the world.
Well, it's no reason we can't all work together. And where is this meeting taking place?
It is upstairs. Shall we go somewhere more comfortable? My room is right next door.
Oh,
Of course.
please.
And he looks around at the at the undead, and Ivo is like floating back there. He goes white for a moment, and is that who I think it is?
Oh, and Halaha looks back.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, Ivo is deceased.
By the gods, what happened to him?
He had decided to tangle himself up in some,
She hisses for a second. Ill matters. But
Oh,
okay.
sorry, go ahead. He like grabs, his mouth is agape, and he's like, just pure white in the face. The mask. It did this to him?
We should speak in your room, Matthias.
Oh. He looks around at everybody. Please. Yes. Come to my room.
Halaha follow up.
He stops as he gets to the stairs. You're not bringing all of them, are you?
Do you mean these ones? And she points to the undead, or the others? She points to Velt and Erzat, Gwyn.
The undead, of course.
Oh, yes, I can leave them behind, outside the door, just in case. But they will not come in.
Thank you.
Of course. I would not have them watch.
He takes you. Oh, sorry.
Gwyn's actually probably not even going to enter the room. She's going to gesture to Erzat with her chin, as Velt's already kind of near Halaha. And where's the meeting taking place? I don't want to interrupt you and Halaha getting reacquainted.
And he says, let me show you to the room first, then, I suppose. Just a moment, please. I will make sure that we are not bothering him.
And as he turns around and walks away, she whispers to Daz and Vitaki, follow him. Overhear what he says.
And Daz nods. turns invisible.
I'm gonna say he was invisible the whole time. So unless
Yeah,
there was a
yeah.
spell that revealed him.
Yeah, definitely he'd be invisible. He'd probably just appear for a minute and giggle, laugh, and then back invisible. Elidor, you hear some yelling going on for a moment in the other room. Can we take a 5-minute break real quick?
Oh yes.
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's take 5 real quick.
Cool.
This is gonna be a combat. It's 12:45. I don't care. This is great.
It's fine.
Everything's fine. I'm so
Like
touched by Velt.
It's
Aw.
like we found a save point and a load of potions.
Velt is like, oh, it's okay. Raise me back up as an undead.
Yeah.
Now
Good
Halaha
twist.
doesn't know how to feel about it because she's like, oh, you can't tell me what to do.
Well, she did say she'd need you to do one more favor for her potentially, and that it would become clear during the trial.
Yeah, it's true. Ooh. Yep.
But she's
Aw.
not dead, so you don't have to do that.
It's true. Not yet.
I had changed my mind about Velt going with me in case these demon hunters didn't like her being Vitagi.
Smart.
Yeah, it's true.
Eris, I can go with you if you
Or Zet. And he's good at
Being sneaky.
not being noticed.
Ooh.
Yeah. So basically, Helia could go in as your bodyguard, and Erizat will just linger in the background.
Just put on like some servant's clothes and start sweeping the hallway.
Just crawl into somebody's hat in like the chef's area and then like start directing them to make ratatouille. It'd be good.
Yeah, you could take Helia in as your bodyguard, and Erizat as like your cringing manservant.
God.
And Velt, by the way, very much meant like raising her only in the context of if she was to be executed at the trial.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. She did not mean like if I die at any point, like halaha, you raise me.
See, that's I figured that's what she's explaining on the whole way here. You know what I meant was
Yeah, don't raise me now. I mean, don't do that now. And she's like, I don't know.
Velt probably would have imagined that you just understood.
No. Laz making glances over to Gwyn as they head out.
winky faces.
Real spicy. We can telepathically to each other.
Yeah. Looking good, hello.
Nice ass, Gwyn. You looking dumpy.
Sad. She'll adjust your cleavage. Push your boobs up farther before
Oh,
you
yeah.
head in with Matthias.
Sick. Rub boobs for good luck. That's what we used to do in my hometown. I swear.
It's a dark elf custom.
Yes.
Wanderer, quick! Rub your boobs for good luck.
Rub
What are
your
you
boobs against
doing?
us. For good luck.
Okay, I think we're ready.
I roll initiative and
Yeah.
that's what image.
Yeah.
This totally might be a game without a combat. I mean, this is totally up to you guys.
Oh, I'm kind of nervous. I have this feeling. But we'll see.
No. I think I know what you're feeling.
Yep.
All right. Who's all staying in Matthias's room?
Me,
And I guess me.
if you'd like. Or if you'd like to go off with Gwyn.
Gwyn would shake her head at Velt. She doesn't want a Vitagi going into a room of demon hunters.
Maybe Velt will just wait outside.
Okay, you want to wait outside with the monsters? The monsters.
Maybe Velt will just hang out in a corner.
She'll read a book.
There's nowhere to go. Monsters
She brought a book.
Yeah, the entire hallway is filled up with zombies. What book did Velt bring, by the way?
What to do in extremely awkward situations.
The arcane reasonings of chickens. By Warner
Bros.
Off. This is what you do. What happens when you put me on the spot?
Yeah, it's good. It's a good one.
The arcane
book.
reasonings of chickens. It's a classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
Matthias comes back and he says, yeah, Elidor will see you now. Please don't mind the mercenaries in there.
I don't mind mercenaries in the least.
And he nods. And smiles to Halaha. Halaha is the last one. Let me just make sure. Or is Velt standing there?
Velt's standing there too.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? Fuck it. Velt's had a lot of character growth. She's gonna confront some demon hunters.
Oh, she just follows.
She's just gonna follow. She's just gonna go.
Yes. Sounds good. All right. So, Arizat, you're good with going into the room of the demon hunters? The hut of outcasts? Are you muted?
The silence will take as a yes.
He may have gone AFK, but he was saying that Helia was gonna go in and act as Gwen's bodyguard, and then
He's
he was
sneak
gonna like
around.
kind of hang in a corner and like.
Yeah, just be like, I'm just a little rat servant.
Oh, I need to grab Helia.
Doesn't like that.
She'll crush your arms first.
Helia's there.
Rogue might like that.
I should
Gwen
give-
is going to leave Daz in here with Halaha. She does not like Halaha being in there alone. So she'll whisper, Daz, protect Halaha.
Okay. That sounds good. As you get in there, you find him. Let's say you go in here first. Let's do this scene first. You guys walk into the chamber of the Hut of Outcasts with the mercenaries from the Hut of Outcasts, and leave Halaha in the room with the imp. Elidor turns around and notices Gwen and Arizat walk into the room. Helia looks to Arizat and she whispers, "These undead, they make me nervous."
Arizat leans over towards her and whispers back, "Me too."
Is there any chance that they might attack us?
I've always assumed that Allah has them completely under control. Let's just assume that, shall we? Probably.
And she grunts and keeps her hand on the hilt of her blade the whole time. Elidor turns around to Gwen, and
Yeah, she turns on the charm. She's got her fancy archangel clothes still on, and she's looking good, smelling good.
good evening. Good to see you again. I was, in a meeting with, some of my friends. But,
Yes.
the more the merrier, I say. Would you like some wine?
I would. I understand that these are members of the Hut of the Outcast.
Indeed. There's, some, mercenaries and hunters. From all over the land, of course. This is Fatan. And, Fatan gives, like, just a little nod of his head. Also Dark Elf. Make a perception check. Half, yeah? Half Dark Elf.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, upon hearing the name and seeing him, Velt's eyes go wide.
Oh, Velt knows.
Velt knows.
Okay, yeah. Gwen wouldn't notice anything. But we were just speaking about the attack. And, I'm
What
sorry
else
to
is
say.
that?
I'm sorry to say the security of our estate didn't go well last time.
Yeah. Is that all you've been talking about? Securing your estate? She looks at the others.
And, they seem a little bit tense, just quiet though. He says, well, many things tonight. Any drink for you? And he offers the drink to Erizet and Helia and Velt.
Erizet will take one with thanks, but not actually drink it. He'll just kind of nurse it.
Velt kind of like snaps out of it for a second. No, I'm fine.
My father was very upset. Many of his...
Yes, many of his. I'm not hearing you say anything.
Did we lose Rogue?
No, I didn't hear what you said, actually.
Oh, I just repeated what you said because I didn't hear what you said. She said,
Oh, okay.
Your father was concerned that many of his
artifacts went missing. And, he's quite ill about it.
Oh, really? Anything in particular that we should keep our eyes open for?
There was a certain mask passed down through the ages from the third dynasty of the Dinites. Himnotep's face.
Himnotep.
Have you seen this artifact?
She puts her finger on her chin. We did recover quite a few things when we took the Cartographers Guild, and when poor Ivo died, we're still cataloguing his belongings. I can't say off the top of my head if a mask was among them. Can you describe it and what its properties were? Is it something we should be concerned about?
He says my father knows a lot more about the mask than I do, but it looks like some skin stitched together. And, he says it was made by some djinn hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago.
For what purpose?
He waves his wine glass around. To stare into the void, or something like that. Whatever nonsense that means.
She kind of raises an eyebrow and then just kind of waves her hand dismissively. Well, if we find it among Ivo's things, I shall certainly make a point of it.
Hundreds of gold. In his properties is missing a scroll of resurrection. Something that's priceless.
That does pique her interest. Really, a scroll of resurrection's missing.
Yes.
Do you think it was taken by the obsidian scythe?
Well, I believed that everything was recovered by the Malefactorum when your group rescued us. And he looks to Velt and bows, like thankfully, not sarcastically.
She nods towards him.
Gwen says, well, as I said, things are a bit chaotic. We're still taking inventory, and frankly, I didn't pay much attention to what Ivo had acquired until he died. You shall have to make a list of what's missing. We certainly would want to get your property back. But then she turns to the other people in the room and she says, this is quite a fortuitous meeting, actually. Perhaps you've heard that the Obsidian Scythe had completely infiltrated the Cartographers Guild. She's kind of looking at the other people in the room.
You notice Fatan looks towards the door, and he seems like distressed about something for a moment and starts to make his way towards the door with his hand on his hilt. Just like slowly.
Velt will block him.
What's wrong? Is there something to be concerned about?
And he looks at Velt standing in front of the door, and then he looks over to Gwen. A curious look on his face. He says, I sense something outside that door.
Oh, you mean the horde of undead in the hallway?
Everybody, like, grabs their weapons, pulling them out, and Fatan doesn't pull his blade out, but he looks quite serious on his face. Elidor just backs up, like, shocked. And Fatan says, why would there be undead outside this door?
And holds up her hand and says, well, our guild necromancer is well acquainted with, and she gestures to Elidor, his father, and has come to speak with him, and she never goes anywhere without protection.
A necromancer, you say?
She nods.
Who is this necromancer?
Phaeton. Velt kind of speaks out. Just as a reminder, she did train with Phaeton. And so he does know her, even if they didn't talk like a lot.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
They're familiar with each other.
So he probably didn't realize it until now. Or let me see. Let me see if he even realizes it yet. It wasn't like a tight relationship, huh? I guess he does. Were they in good terms, or?
Pretty neutral terms. She was the targeting of a lot of ridicule and bullying and like a bunch of other shit because of her appearance. I don't think he directly participated in it, but like he was adjacent to those that did.
Okay, so now he definitely remembers you, and possibly in this light, or being closer to you now. He lets go of his sword for a minute and steps back, crossing his arms. He says, I remember you.
Yes, it's been quite some time. Perhaps you could overlook one necromancer for our guild when there's an army of demon worshippers coming on our doorstep.
Wisely spoken, Velt. And she says, and I think you got a bit distracted before I got to my point, which you might find pertinent. When we took over the Cartographers Guild, there was some correspondence indicating that the Hut of the Outcasts had a member of the Obsidian Scythe among them. And she just kind of watches all their faces as she says it.
Yeah, they start to look at each other. And Vatan still hasn't looked away from Velt. And he says, why would you be hiding, protecting these undead? Have you forgotten all of your studies?
Unless you don't remember, my experience during that time was quite different from your own. I've had to do what I can to survive.
As will we all.
You seem to have dodged my question. Who is this necromancer?
What is your concern?
Velt steps back against the door.
Your sister.
His eyes go wide. And he says, I must speak to her now.
Later. We have business now.
You can see he's like terribly frustrated. And he starts to pace around. And Elidor kind of tries to break the tension. Perhaps you should talk to my father. He knows more about all the artifacts that he collects. I cannot help you out there.
As I said, I thought that this news of the Obsidian Scythe being inside the hut might spark some interest, but she looks over them. Apparently that's not very important to any of you. I wonder why.
Calibos steps forward. I think it's quite interesting. We'll look into it for sure.
She nods.
Hey, Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
Where have I seen Calibos before?
He was held captive by the Red Guard.
Oh, that guy!
Yeah, he was in a what do you call it?
I sent my imp to free him. Or was he in the jail cell?
Yeah, that was him.
The jail cell or the stocks?
The stocks, that's what it was.
Yep,
He was in the
yep.
stocks.
Okay.
And he was at the pit fights one time.
Yeah. So you've seen Alaha.
Hey.
Familiar face.
And Fatan still keeps, pacing and stuff. And I think we should go over to the next scene here.
Oh.
That's cool with you guys, yeah?
Yeah?
Oh, my mouse got stuck. Alright. Halaha alone. I asked what could go wrong here.
Ooh. Nothing. Is there like
Right.
a wine bottle in here at all?
Definitely.
Oh yes. So Halaha would pour the two some wine, and she'd go over to Matthias, and hand it to him. She smiles at him. She takes a seat and
It's been too long, Matthias.
Yes, it has. I didn't think I...
Glad you still live. I was quite worried back at the ball, the masquerade.
Yes. I have lost my estate for now, but plan to get it back as soon as possible. As soon as this damn invasion is over with.
And this is why we need to work together.
she leans forward.
I know that you have backups ready to fall in with the Obsidian Scythe, should they take the city.
I do.
She puts a hand under his chin.
Don't lie to me, Matthias. I know you're scared.
He looks her up and down, and he says, I have ways of escape. If you are interested in doing so with me, perhaps we could talk.
What are these methods of escape, Matthias?
I'm working on that right now with this Smugglers Guild and the Hut of Outcasts. You know, who knows? Enough gold in the right hands?
I'm sure they would help you out. But you're not still working with the Obsidian Scythe after they tried to kill you, what, twice? Attempted to kidnap your daughter from my hands?
No, I have not talked to them. Ever since the Red Guard incident.
That is good. I am glad.
She maneuvers over to the arm of his chair, draping her legs over his. He looks down, leaning on the back of the chair.
I wanted to ask you a few things. You said that you think the mask did whatever it did to Ivo, yes?
Yes, I was worried about that.
What?
I know that it is an ancient artifact capable of powerful magic, and my personal sorcerer that used to work with me, Caerdunn Manor, he was killed investigating the mask himself.
How so? What exactly happened?
He became obsessed with it, and he wore it, he said, to search into the void and to become more powerful. It is meant to grant great power to wizards. I just would like it back.
She nods and says, Ivo kept many troves, from what I've been told, many hidden places. I think we are in the midst of searching for it. I do not know where it is.
You've lost it?
No. She smiles and shakes her head. No, we haven't lost it. Everything will always be found, but Ivo was crafty. I'm sure he put it somewhere he thought safe. But unfortunately, since he's departed, we don't know exactly where it is. But we will find it, Matthias. I promise you this.
It is called Hypnotist's Face. I do not know a great deal besides from the third dynasty of the Denites, and it was crafted by a djinn, I believe. Crafted with evil purposes and upon a man in great torture. Ivo was investigating the mask, doing much research on it. He was wishing to handle the mask, and I warned him against it before. I told him if he could research it and find out more, perhaps that he could use it and test its qualities, but then we were attacked, and these creatures and the Red Guard dragged us into the Shadow Realm, created a portal in Caerdunn Manor, and took us prisoner. And you know the rest.
Yes. She swirls her glass and takes a drink.
It is unfortunate. I do think that because of the mask, it has indeed claimed another life. Or it was Ivo's vicious defense of it that caused him to perish. I believe it sounds like this thing is extremely dangerous, promising powers, but maybe driving those to madness.
Indeed. It is very...
That sound very dangerous indeed. Is there...
Do not, please. Do not investigate the mask. Let someone else do it at the manufacturer. I know they're... And he starts to, like, warm up to you a little bit, get a little closer.
As she slides down and sits on his lap with that and places a hand on his cheek.
I promise I to be the one investigating Matthias. I'll stay safe.
Good. And he says, he looks towards the door. And do you have, time to be alone with me?
Oh, I very much think I do.
And with that, back to the other room.
The imp of the
Fatan.
show.
Fatan says, all right, enough talk. I will talk to my sister now.
Fine, I'll go with you.
Gwyn takes Velt aside and says,
No, she's blocking the door. She knows if she steps away from that door, Fatan's just gonna go.
yeah, Gwyn says, Velt, what do you know about this? Does he mean Halaha harm? She looks at him. Do you mean Halaha any harm?
And he looks at you. Definitely brow down, furrowed. I just wish to speak with her.
Do you give me your word of honor as a demon hunter that you will do her no harm?
I give you my word, I will try. If she attacks me, well, then we have a broken agreement.
Perhaps this meeting is ill-advised.
I will be there with them, Gwyn.
She nods. Perhaps knock first.
Yes.
He looks, he kind of scoffs at that, and same old. And you gonna let him through?
Follow me.
She will lead him.
Helia bumps Erzad's shoulder. Perhaps we will get in a fight after all.
Well, yes, I wouldn't be too eager though, Ilya. There's much I don't understand here, and that man over there has very heavy armor. Do you notice?
Yes, I would very much like to have it.
Oh, well, there's that. And then Rezat starts looking very speculatively at the armor and just like, guy's standing there and he's just kind of looking at him, just weighing up the worth of his armor.
Don't worry, I'd protect you. I keep forgetting. I want to give her like a German accent or something.
Ah.
I will protect you. No.
There's so many NPCs. I wanted to give Fatan like the same Halaha accent, and I forgot about that.
Slightly Russian, yes.
So to the door, Velt, do you knock?
Velt will knock and call out,
Halaha, an old friend of mine from training, wishes to meet you.
Say, Halaha's mid-undress at this point. She frowns. Gives a kiss to Matthias. Sorry, my darling. Hopefully this is quick.
The door opens up. Baton kind of throws the door aside.
Halaha just finished putting back on the straps of her dress. She turns around. First, a idle smirk, slightly annoyed on her face. And her eyes widen, jaw drops, and she takes a slight step back. Phaeton. Oh, what?
You see like a mixed look, anger, and he kind of shakes his head. Sister.
And her face contorts into one of anger. You dare come back in my presence, Phaeton? After you leave? Do you leave me? Your brothers? How dare you?
You are the fool.
You're the one who left.
Studying the black arts. You betray us. You killed our family.
I didn't kill our family. He points at him. You killed Tevin. It's because of you he's dead.
Is that him in the hallway? Do you still carry a chain around our brother?
I saved him. Phaeton, I saved him.
You are weak and pathetic. Always a hunger for power. I should kill you now.
You want to fucking kill me, Phaeton? Fight me. I'll fucking raise you like I did to Tevin. And that way you'll never leave me again. You'll never leave me again. And she is going to attack him.
Oh.
Price of crazy.
As well as all the undead in the hallway.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Velt,
Should we fade to black here?
Velt closes the door. Lets the undead in and then closes
Yeah,
the
we
door.
might need to fade.
Yeah, well, let's fade to black because it's like 120. Oh my god. Are you in the next episode?
Yeah.
Oh.
Something special was going to happen in the other room. I'm fine with that. Gwen would probably just try to do some diplomatic stuff, talking to this guy that she knew and that they had saved from the Red Guard, and try to kind of get an in with the head of the outcasts.
Or should we just
Fighting
let
the
them
next
go
one.
at it for? I don't know. It's late.
I mean, Velt's
I
gonna
mean-
jump in too, so it may not be a super long fight.
Yeah.
With all the undead, he's there. Oh, she might die from this. There's potential.
Wouldn't it escalate though? Surely it's not going to be silent.
You know,
Unless, yeah, I can see this. I mean, Halah's gonna be screaming.
Oh yeah.
Let's roll initiative and see if it can be stopped. Because this is maybe like a bad place to fight for sure.
She is so slow. Oh no! He's gonna fucking kill her.
Oh my god. Would anybody else want to roll?
In the other
roll then.
room. I mean, we can roll, but
Yeah.
we wouldn't get to act until we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Daz is in here.
Daz
And I
is in
told
there.
him to protect her.
Yeah, roll for
Yeah.
Daz.
Nice.
Okay.
Thank you, Daz.
Can you pop him on the screen?
Oh yeah. But
Oh
you can.
god.
This is where he's gonna show up, too.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks you're totally hot. He's gonna definitely
Oh
protect
no! Thanks, Daz. Can't really do much, but thanks, Daz. What about Matthias? I guess he's staying the fuck out of it. He's like, no, no, no.
He's like, nope.
Well, he's
No,
gonna
no,
attack
no.
her, but literally, I think Daz is between them,
Mhm.
and Phaeton doesn't know.
It's a lot of 7s.
Ugh.
Alright. So, if she's getting ready to attack him, right?
Mhm.
He did say that he was gonna give his word unless she attacked him.
Yeah.
And he has been hunting her, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is arch enemy.
Alright. So he... Let's see here. You had said in your files that he had a Zul'jite dagger, right?
I don't know if he does.
Oh,
Probably.
okay.
I mean, it's for her. It's like it's a family heirloom. So maybe one was from her dad, one was from her mom. Each
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, he likes the Zul'jite dagger. He is just going to try and knock out attacker.
Nice.
Now, I did say that Velt was staying very close to Phaeton. If he's like moving across the room to get to her, can I get an attack of opportunity or anything? Or how are you picturing this happening?
Yeah, that's cool.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, like you're sitting right next to him, waiting for him. Yeah, that's cool. He quick blades his dagger, but you can tell he's like bringing it back to probably. It looks like he's gonna try to hilt her in the head, but I mean he could be trying to cut her. You don't know. But yeah, go ahead and do. You'd have a single action attack of opportunity.
Okay.
What would you do?
She's
Ooh.
Yeah, she's
Wait
grabbing the broken sword that she got from the Caerdunns and is just very quickly slashing at him as she sees him start to move forward towards her.
Okay. He tries to block.
Ooh.
And he does not.
All right.
With the beheader, it acts automatically does a power 2 damage.
Damn.
Yeah, that broken sword's pretty cool.
It's pretty broken.
If she does a heavy attack, it does times 3.
Wow. Do you not want to work? Okay, hold on.
Work. Macro.
Did you? Oh,
I put the +2 for the damage in there. I think that's what's fucking it up.
let me check it real quick.
I just fixed it. We'll just post-roll modifier add 2.
Oh, no. Here, I'll fix it for you.
Okay.
Let's see what it is. And you need an exclamation.
Suspense.
Okay, you're good.
All right.
Probably just click off and then click back on and then do damage.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't.
Oh, that's not right.
Yeah.
It should be a D20, you said.
Yeah, why is it?
So it'd be a 8 or I don't know.
What am I looking at here? Oh, I messed with the demon dagger, sorry.
I think you have to roll a d20 because it could have been like an
Yeah.
18 times 2.
Just roll 1d20, yeah.
It's a d20 damage. Here you go. And 2. There you go. It is fixed.
I'm just gonna roll a D20.
30.
15 times 2, 30.
30
Damn.
damage. Nice. And he's... It's not showing up. He has... Okay. He has 10 armor. I don't know why it's not written down here. Alright, 30 damage. So that is not enough to knock him down, but it definitely hurts. So he's starting to go forward, and where do you like slice him across the arm?
Yeah, for sure.
He is going to ignore it and still try to hit her.
Yeah, she's not wearing armor. I'd say she had taken it off, so she's not wearing any armor.
Let's do Daz too. Daz gets his attack of opportunity.
Go, Daz, go.
He wants to do Spirit Claws, but I'll wait for that for his turn, I guess. Because that requires multiple actions.
Is that a slice?
Yeah, this is Claws.
That's a hit.
It's only one, though, because it's just one action.
Yeah, slices into his armor. Oh, he actually wouldn't even get to defend that. So that's going to be ×2 and armor defeating. So it does get through a little bit. Because it's a sneak attack.
Yep. Daz pops up. He's all hulking and big, unlike his usual tiny form.
Alright, he finally gets to her. Slice from Velt after a claw from Daz. He tries just one attack, the hilt of his blade, and it's going to be a knockout blow. It's pretty much a heavy attack. He's got to roll an 18, 19, or 20, though.
Ooh. Let's try to dodge.
He'll even concentrate it.
Ooh.
Oh,
big
crap.
no.
So she dodges, and he burns 2 frenzy. Tries it one time.
Oh.
One more time.
But he's not
And-
trying to kill you. He loves you, Halaha.
He does, yeah, you bitch. And then swings back with the
That's a
hilt.
hit.
It's
That's a
not gonna
hit.
be it.
Definitely a hit though.
Alright. But since it's a knockout blow, it's not going to be ×2, so it's 14 damage.
13 with her toughness. He tries to knock her on the side of the head, and she stumbles a bit. And she laughs. And says, "You're going to scream just as much as mother and father did."
That just seems to like enrage him more. Matthias shouts for the guards. Daz, what's Daz gonna do?
He's gonna reach out with glowing claws and try to grab this guy's head. He's gonna try to Spirit Claws him. So that's a rage attack.
And he spins and he tries to dodge.
He's gonna do it again.
Natural 20.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh,
Oh, good fail.
So the damage, I'll roll that, and then he's gonna apply 2 extra actions to suck out body.
nice.
Oh my god.
Do like power 4 damage, and make a body save. I don't know if he needs to make a body save or not.
I don't think you can make a body save. I think if you hit, he starts to suck out your body. So let me.
Okay. That sounds right. That's cool.
So he loses 2 points of body, and whatever that percent is just gets added to Daz's hit points, which are massive anyway, so we don't have to really track it.
Cool. Yeah, he falls over from that, and you can see some of his energy, like, just he looks almost like he's unconscious. You can hear all the other ones like coming down the hallway, shouting, blades drawn. Velt.
Velt's gonna move up on him, and she's gonna drop the one sword and draw another sword. And she's gonna attack with the Biting Thunderblade.
As you're running to attack him, Matthias says, "Do not shed blood in this house! Stop your fighting! Stop your fighting now!"
Make a, I don't know.
She gonna do it
Charisma?
anyway.
Okay.
It's a heavy attack. Oof. There's that classic Velt. What?
Yeah, try to block with melee from the ground. I think he's stunned too. We'll take him minus.
No. Burn Frenzy, try again. That's better.
Sorry, let me add these guys in here.
Should we roll for the zombies outside?
Zombies, I think, go on her initiative.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just do that. What does he have to dodge? Sorry, 17?
17.
He's hit.
Alright. There's no extra damage for him being on the ground and everything, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So.
Nice. 58 minus armor, 48. Yeah, he's looking pretty messed up now, too. Gwyn's turn.
I guess we hear the ruckus and she runs out, heads toward the room.
Yeah.
I don't know if we really have time to act.
Yeah, we'll say you get to the doors, or get, it's kind of crowded too, I guess. Her zombies are there, and the other guys are starting to get in there, so it's all crowded, people running. You can see personal guards coming from the estate. Did we skip? Did we skip?
Halaha didn't
I'm at the
go.
very, 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 very bottom, so...
No, it should be your turn.
Yeah.
I think Gwyn's shouting, "Separate them! Separate them!"
Yeah, and...
We'll let
Halaha.
Halaha go, and then, separation I think is good.
Yeah,
If she doesn't kill
Halaha
him.
says, don't interfere. And she is going to cast a few things. She's going to cast Necral Armor. Of course. Hopefully this doesn't... Oh, it's plus 2 attack. 21, that definitely goes off.
Nice.
As you see, like, bone forming around her to create an armor. Next action, she's gonna take out reach over, because her stuff's nearby. She grabs a scroll in her hands. And then for 2 additional frenzy. She's gonna use rot on him. And let's
Make him ugly.
15. She like grips his arm and starts to try and suck the life out of him. Ooh, he dodges her arm grab.
Oh no!
Yeah, she tried to grab him, and but he just like shrugs her off as she is seething. There's spittle flying from her mouth into his face, and she says, "Oh, this is your fault. Everything I've become, everything I've made myself, it's you."
And he goes next, but we're gonna say his men grab him. They bust into the room as well. And,
The undead were flooding in, but I won't roll for them because that's just a big mess. She probably wasn't even
Okay,
calling them, honestly. She was just so focused on Phaeton.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And he's yelling at you. You fucking bitch! You killed our families. It's your fault.
It's your fault!
And they drag him out and down the hallway.
Unless someone stops Halaha, she's gonna straight go after him.
Velt will step in and will wrap her arms around you to try to stop you.
Stop me, fuck you!
As to restrain her, which he will happily do.
And she screams out the Phaeton as they hold her back.
Velt will whisper in your ear,
We'll find him again, and we'll kill him then. Now is not the time.
Gwyn walks toward her and just kind of waits. Waits for her breathing to slow and for her to calm down.
Her eyes are pretty wild at this point. Her hair, a mess.
Oh, shoot!
What?
I've got a scroll that can calm people down, or a stone, or something I picked up in the treasure.
Ooh.
I remember that. Helia is guarding the hallway as they drag him away, you know. Bunch of fingers pointing. Fuck you! Shouts and stuff like that. You notice the guards come up, the personal guards, and make sure everything's broken up. Matthias says, Matthias is still cowering in the corner. What do you guys want to closing RP?
Halaha's still seething. Still probably pulling at the arms occasionally, waiting for them to become lax.
yeah, no, Velt is not letting up. She knows and understands, like, what you're going through right now. And she knows she cannot let you go. And so she's just holding on to you, like whispering to you, like, we can't do this here. Like, we need to wait.
Gwyn, if she thinks Velt's got it under control, she actually whispers to Daz to follow them and then report back.
Yes.
And then Gwyn will kneel down by Halaha, who's being held down, and say, "Don't worry. We'll find out where they are. If it's this important, we can take care of it. But not here."
To kill him. I'm gonna kill him if it's the last thing I do.
Gwyn just puts a hand on her shoulder and squeezes it a little bit.
And as Halaha calms down, starts to breathe, probably very concerning. Very much unlike her. See, she starts to tear up. Why did he leave? Why is he here? For all this time? Why now?
I think
No.
Gwen will kneel down and put her arms around Halaha too. With Velt.
Yeah. I was gonna say Velt hugs Halaha tighter, but it's more of a like compassionate hug right now. But still with like a little bit of force behind it just to make sure you're like contained.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the study, Erazat drains his drink and goes over to the decanter, pours himself another large one. pours
And looks
Helio
around
one.
this freaking room.
Yeah, well, he's going to do that as well, and he just starts drinking the drink, and then he'll start going through the desk and examining drawers and everything else.
Looking for something to pilfer.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah, we need
plans.
some
Who knows what they
information.
were taking notes
Yeah.
or something.
Information's more important. He'll just get Helia to watch the door, basically. She can just lean against the door. And,
Helia looks a little unhappy, but she like puts her blade back in its sheath. Still no fight.
I know, but if you hang around with us long enough, I assure you you'll have your chance for a fight. It's just, as I said, I've learnt to not get involved in Halaha's business. She knows best how to deal with it, and can be rather risky for the rest of us. Anyway, there must be something useful here. And he'll just, quickly but quietly go rifling to the desk, but not. He's just lifting stuff and trying not to make it look like it's been disturbed.
Yeah, you do find a journal in there that might be interesting, and Helia looks at you like, was that her brother?
It seems so. She has a very complicated love life. I find it best not to pry.
He said
I
she
have too
killed her
delicate a
family.
stomach, I think, for Halaha's love life.
But he said she killed their family.
You know, nothing would surprise me. She's not completely sane, you know. But she's very, very dangerous, so don't question it. Just let it go. Let it go, I tell you. Nod and smile. Nod and smile when it comes to Halaha. Just nod and smile.
I noticed a change about you. You seem quite a bit braver than used to. You charged up there and threw that lantern on the bridge. Protect those people.
Well, that was more what you might call strategic cowardice. I thought our only chance to stop them was the bridge, otherwise running would be in vain. They were disturbingly fast-moving. And as he speaks, he's like rifling through the journal as well.
What if
But,
I was...
I do feel more confident with you and that large blade by my side, Helia.
What if I was surrounded, on the ground, by those creatures? Would you come help me?
I really don't know. I'd want to, Helia, but I don't know if I have the courage, to be honest.
Don't
But-
you worry. You don't owe me anything. I'm here to give my life for you, for getting my sister out of this city. This place is cursed.
I assure you, Helia, I would do as much for you as I would do for any friend. For I do consider you a friend as well as a... And he again skirts around the word slave and says, employee.
And she looks back down the hall and seeing everybody hold Halaha. And if that's good for everybody,
Yeah.
Yep. Drama.